networking system, which is very important, when we talk about the security aspect. As we know, whenever we are starting career in cyber security, so we need to know about how the network works, right? So while we have been doing some investigations on the cybercrime or any type of investigations where we've been doing whenever any incident arises or any violations happens to the security policy, that's all happens towards the network. So we must know how does the network work, what are the things that happens, what type of transactions it takes place, what type of the different IP addresses we have, what are the internal IP addresses, what are the external IP addresses, what does it mean by the protocols. So there are the several protocols where we have it, that can be the TCP based traffic, UDP based traffic, ICMP based traffic. So that need to be get discovered, right? We need to understand what is the difference between what is the MAC address, what are the IP addresses are there, how the transactions happens between the two computers. So taking that into the priorities where we're going to discuss that, the entire network systems, that how it works, what are the things that happens, right? So we're going to start these with the networking concept. If the sessions is designed, it's not for the network administrator part, but it is designed to get exact how the network works. It's like major discussions will be there on security. We'll be doing all the practicals on security by implementing the SIM tools, adding the different log sources. We'll see how those logs looks like, what sort of investigations we require, what area of the SIM tool features are there, dashboards, reports, everything in detail. But the networking I've been taking as a pre-requesting skill set before we get into the security. Okay. So as we know, the networks are very important while we talk about it. Will we see that what are the different transactions happen, how those information travel, everything that we're going to discuss. So when we say that, what is networking in a very simple? So as we know that the computer network will always, as we know that nowadays we can see that nearly always every services get involved. It's limitless range of informations and services that can. We can be able to send the documents, email, messages, website, database, music access, printer, faxes, and there are many things, telephony and video conference. These are very basic services. Everybody is aware about it. Apart from that, if we go at cloud services, we have the cloud computing, as we can see that will be migrating in all the all the organizations are migrating their service to the cloud. That is a very important concept. We need to see how this on-premises services can be get migrated to the cloud. What type of transactions happens, what type of information carries, what type of databases carries. That's are very important. That is a very important. So that is a very important to know that how does it network work. Give me 1 minute. Okay, all right then. So we can see that this is how it works. What are the things is happens, what are the process happens. So basic things, if we'll see that, what is networking, if I'll talk about it. What is networking? As we can see that the two computers is connected, and where the information get travel from one computer to the another computer. This is we call it networking, right? So let's do understand. Let's see that how it works in a very simple way. Let me see that. Let's understand that we have the two computers here, correct? Let's say that these are the two computers we have. So when we have these two computers, which I'm going to connect with some cables here. So let's say that I've been using some connections here. Let's say that I'm using this cable here. So I'll try to connect this with Ethernet passport here with this computer to this computer. So while I'm connecting these, so we know that there are the certain ports are there, right? So if I'll see that if I click on these computer here, when I'm seeing that here, if we can be able to see that on the physical layer, we can see there is some port here. Are you able to see this everyone? Is that are you able to see this port? This cable is connected to this LAN port here, right? So as we can see that the port is connected to this LAN port. And the similar way, if we'll see that here, also we have another computer. If we'll see that here also we have connected this cable here. Now with these two cables, when we have connected here, these devices also have, like we can see that these devices also have different type of, the informations here which can be carried. So what are those informations? What are, the databases are there? What type of transactions happens here? So when we are seeing these configurations here, whenever we'll see the configurations of these computers, so we have something here. Let us see that every computers, whenever it is connected here, it is also have some physical address. So let me show you that. So if you can see that for the particular computer, I have the physical address here. So this is the physical address, which is separated by the dot here, but in Windows we have with the colon here, semicolon there. So this is the MAC address, the physical address of the device where we can see. The similar way, it also required an IP address while they get communicate together. So I'm just going to give one IP address to get you understand just a very simple basic idea. Let me say that this as 10.0.0.1. So this is an IP addresses which I have assigned for these as an the link to the local addresses what we have here. The similar way, I have click on these even here also. I have I'm going to assign one IP address. So that is like 10.0.0.2. Let us consider that these are the two IP addresses which we have assigned to here. So whenever we are saying that, whenever I want to see that, what is this IP addresses are there? What are the command are there? So here we can see that we got an IP address is 10.0.0.1 for this computer, and this is a subnet mask. This is the gateways which we have not designed, but this is how the MAC address and the physical address where we can see that an IP address we have. Now, whenever I want to get communicate, my computer IP address is 10.0.0.1. If I want to get communicate with 10.0.0.2 here, let's see that. If I want to get communicate here, if I'm pinging this, the communications where I'm seeing the acknowledgement with 10.0.0.2 here. So as we can see that I'm getting the reply here. Are you able to see that? I have sent the four packet and I have received all this four packets here. So zero loss here. So I can be able to communicate with these computer here, as we can see here. So the communications may happen. We know that very well. This is how the communications are. If I want to send any packet here, let's say that if I'm sending any packet, let me use some of the protocol here. Let me use as ICMP here. I'll assign this ICMP here. And if I'm sending one packet from these computer to these computer. So is that the transactions happens here? What type of transactions is taking place here? So let's see that when I'm saying that the packets are getting transferred between these two computers, right? So even I'm getting a reply back here. So I can be able to see that there is the certain transactions happen between these two computers, which I have connected with the one cable. So this is called as networking. The informations which are passing from one computer to the another computer, as we have seen. So there are the several areas are there. We'll discuss that about it. But when I talk about these networking, as we have seen that there is also a certain here we have seen that an example with the two computers. What if else if we have more than two computers? Let's say that. So if it say that let's say that if we have the more than two computers, in that we have been using some central media that will be considered as an hub here. So let's see that here. If I have another computer here, let's say that I have some some of the computer here. Like I can see that this is one computer. I have this is another computer. I have this is another computer. Like this, we have the computer. So how does this connections happens? How are we going to connect these connections here? Where we have to see that here. Okay. So let me just clear all this. Okay. So let us see that. So here what we required one network devices here. So what I'm using, example, I'm using hub. So I use the hub. Give me one more. Let me select one hub here. And I'm going to place this hub in the central of this. So when I can see that when I have connected this hub, I have to connect these computers, something like that. So, okay. So from these to these hub we have connected. I'm giving some faster port here. This computer again is connected to this hub, as you can see that. Any port can be there. So where I can be connected, there are several ports also. So here I can see that this is connected to this, and this is connected to this port here. So here what we can see that when we have connected this, when we have seen these connections here, right? Whatever the communications happen. What if we have the more than one computer here? So the transactions may happen, like when I'm sending this packet. Suppose if I'm dropping this packet from PC 0 to PC 1, obviously, it can get travel here because we have certain IP addresses assigned, right? So the communications, whenever we are talking about it, whenever we are saying that any transactions happens between the multiple computers, we are using some central device through which it's getting communicated. This is how the communication process is happening. So they might be using the different type of protocols. They have the different type of layers here. When we are seeing that what type of messages they have sent. So that has been happening on the OSI model. There are the seven layers are there. Layer one is a physical layer, data link layer, network layer, like transport layer, station layer, presentation layer, and the application layer. So these are the layers are there where in layer and out layer, sender and receiver will be considered. PDU is something that we call as a protocol data unit, which is contained about the header length, which is contained about identifications, number of each packet, TTL values, checksum, source IP, destinations IP, all other information. We'll discuss that in detail. But in generally, we have seen that whenever any whenever we have more than two computers, here we have been using some central medium that will be considered as a hub in order to get communicate between this kind. Now, what if, how does it connect? As we have seen that we have defined an hub, we have a LAN cable through which we have connected, and we know that it contains the MAC address, it contains IP address, it contains certain adapters. So this is all about whenever we are talking about it, whenever we are discussing about what this device is contain, how those the physical appearance can be there for this device. This is the port where it is required. So this is that the port is required while we have been getting connect these devices. So that's how it's getting. Now the computer address are very important while we are getting connected. So computer has two type of addresses. That's the physical address and the other is called as logical address. The physical address, it's nothing but that will be considered as permanent address. The MAC address is called as a physical address, which is of six like bytes or 48 bits we can say. So 6 byte or 48 bits. 1 byte is equal to 8 bits as well. MAC address can't be changed. It is exist on the NIC card, Network Interface Card. So logical address is a temporary address. The IP address can be considered as a logical address, which is of 4 byte or 32 bits, and it can be get changed when we are changing the network. Obviously, if we have another network, then another IP address will be there. So this is how it will work. So what next? The physical address, which I said you that is the 48 bits or the 6 byte. So in that, the first 24 bits, which can be identified as the vendor here, which is same for all the adapter from the same vendor. And the last 24 bits, which are been considered as universally administered address for the user here. So as we can see that this is my MAC address, right? 4A B1 B7 51 B7 185B C6. So if we see that here, what we have total 6 octets. Octet 1, octet 2, octet 3, octet 4, octet 5, and octet 6. So here each octet is of 8 bits or 1 byte we can say. So there are the 6 bytes are there. First 3 octet which is used to identify the vendor. Let me give you one example here. If I'll go to the command prompt on my computer, if I'll type ipconfig hyphen all, I'm sorry. So here you can see that this is the physical address of our NIC card which is there in my computer. So here we have 94E23C. Let me copy this. If I'll copy this, what it shows? It shows the vendor identity. How we can identify these vendors? What exactly is there for these vendors here? So let me give you one example here, which is called as the OUI lookup. So if I come to this, here, let's have a look on this. So when I put this, right, 94E23C, it shows the result. The 94E23C are the Intel corporate. Are you able to see this here, everyone? Is that so? Everyone, are you able to see this? Adam, Chogi, Abdul, Anika, Hemant, Rafi, Ramesh, Suleiman. Correct. Okay. All right. So here we can see that this is our for my device here. The same thing. If I say that I have connected to the router as well, right? So if I connect it to the router here, let's say that what an IP address of the router, that is also very important. So if you see that if I want to see what is my network here, right? So I can see that this is when I have 192.168.0.1 can be considered as my computer here, the network here that is there in the router. So if I'll copy these three octets, let's say that if I copy these three octet and then I'll paste this here, I'm gonna get this is for the D-Link International here. So this is the router where I have connected to it. So with the help of these, what we got to know that the MAC address are used to identify the vendor as well as the universal administrator vendor. But also it's used to identify the individual device in the network. Over the network, we connected with the multiple devices. It can be the laptops, desktops, computers, like it can be the smartphones, tabs, and so on. There are the several devices we connected to the router. So each device have their unique identity. That is with the help of the backend. So when I have the next thing that I want to tell you about the logical address, the IP address. So IP address is known as the logical address of the computer. It's the combinations of four octets. As we can see that 172.16.234.1. So these are the four octets. Each octet is of 1 byte and it is divided with the 8 bits. So let me just give you an example here. Let's say that. So, give me one minute. Let me open. So here we see that, guys, whenever we have an IP address. So example, let me take an IP address of my computer here. Okay. So what is an IP address for my computer here? Let's say that it can be as 192.168.232.1. Let's say that this is or anything. Let me take any of this IP. Let me take this is as one of the IP address where I have. Now when I say that I'm getting one IP address as here 192.168.0.175. This is an IP address, right? So any IP addresses is divided, which is the four octet we have it. Octet 1, octet 2, octet 3, octet 4. So these IP addresses divided in the form of network and ports. So if we'll see that these IP addresses, when we are seeing that, so whenever we have any IP addresses, how it will be measured here? What are the things are there? So here we see that these IP addresses, whatever we have it here, so these IP addresses are divided in the form of it can be considered as it will be considered as network and host. So these IP addresses are the form in the form of network and host, where we can be able to see. So means like we have these four octet, right? So over these four octets, some of the octet can be used as network, some of the octet can be used as network. So it means like one network, three hosts, or two network, two hosts, or three network, one host. It all depends upon the classes, like what type of we have the class. So IP addresses range when we are seeing that it's always under the range of 0 to 255, not beyond this. Okay, we'll see that in detail. You never see the IP address as 256. You never see an IP address as 258, 259. We'll see that last as 0 to 255. Each octet can be there in between 0 to 255 only the range. Now, why? Based on this binary calculation, it will be there. But let me show you that when I take these IP addresses, right? So when I'm talking about those IP addresses when we have it, how does it been there? Like how it is divided. So divided in the form of classes here. So there are the different classes we have, like class A, class B, class C, class D, and class E. So this is are the classes where we have it. So when we see these classes, if I'll say that how those classes can be get divided, let me take one more idea for you to get design. So when I say that the IP address when we have it, so over this IP address, what we can see that we have something as a class A here. Let me say that. If I'll say that there is a class A IP address if we have it, so this will be have the ranges as 0 to 126. This is a class A. Then we have the class B IP address. Now class B IP address range can be considered as 128 to 191. This is a class B here. Now class C can be there 192 to 223 here. This is the class C here. The same thing, we have the class D, which is 224 to 239, and we have the class E, which can be 240 to 255. So these are the ranges where now, based on these ranges, where the entire system works, okay, like see that. So the most common is class A, class B, and class C. Either it can be a private network, either it can be the public network. They've been using in these parts. So these IPs are the dedicated IP addresses. It is used for the different purpose. Now, if you notice that between the 126 to 128, we miss one IP address, right? What is that? 127. Now, if you ask me why we have not used 127 here, actually that comes under the class A only, but this can be considered as local net, local host. That is fixed for our computer. So whenever we see that the local host, it is a fix for our computer. Whatever the communications happens, whatever the reply happens, if I'll say that whenever we are seeing that 127.0.0.1, let's say that. So this is I've been getting a reply. This is always a live IP addresses where we have it as in like for the local. It means like whenever you're creating an application, let's say the web applications are developed or something like it has happened. So before it takes to the live, they might make a test that they may use that as a local host. Okay. And these are the classes, class A, class B, and class C. Based on these classes where the network can be done. So as we know, like whenever we are seeing that IP addresses, example, I'll take these IP addresses. So when I say these IP addresses when we have it, so over these IP addresses, how many octet we have it? We have, we can see that there are the four octets. So when we have the four octet, how it will be there? In the class A, we have one network and there are the three hosts we have. One network and three hosts where we can. In the class B, what we have it, we have two networks and we have the two hosts. There are four octet, right? So one network, three hosts, two network, two hosts. In the class C, where we can see that when we are having that are having like three networks and there's a one host. This is how like the design will be different. So when we are seeing that example, if I have one IP address, okay, I'll take these IP address. So can you see this IP addresses belong to which class? Can you tell me that which class? It's a class A, class B, or class C? Guys, interaction are very important. You must have to reply me. That is, where I can get to know like are you been understanding us. Is a class B. If you see clearly that class B range is ended with the 191, right? So it's a starting class C is 192. So can I consider that is a class C IP address? Correct? 192.168.0.173. You just take the first octet here. How to understand that? You must have to see the first octet. What is that range here? 192. 192 comes with the class C range here. Can you see this here? Yes, Abdul Rafi. Are you understanding this process? Yes, this is a class C outfit. So how many network? One network and three hosts. The same thing like if you see that we have assigned one IP address here, right? To my computer here, like where we can see that we have one IP address here. Now what is this IP address is here? Like when we see that the IP address for this computer is 10.0.0.1. So if I say that this is an IP address, we have it here. So 10.0.0.1. So in this case, where we can see that if I have another IP address as 10.0.0.1. So can you tell me that it belongs to which class? Class A, class B, or class C? So this is belongs to the class A. Correct. These are the class A IP address. So class A IP address, how many network and how many hosts are there? So it contains one network. This is the one network, and this is been considered as there are the three hosts. 00.0.0.1 is can be considered as a host here. So this is the one network and three hosts. The same way, if we'll see that we have another IP address, let me just give you example here. If I have another IP address as like 172.33.68.21, something like that. So this belongs to which class? This belongs to the class B here. It are coming 172 comes under the range between 128 and 1 to 191, right? So 172 come under that range. So this will be considered as class B network, correct? Yes, everyone. So this is the class B. Yes. So this is the class B here. So when we see that the class B have two networks, so these are the two networks here. Now let me ask you one question here. I have one IP address as 10.0.0.1. I'll take another IP address. Let's say that 100.0.0.2. So we have these two IP addresses. So if you see these two IP addresses, are they belong to the same network or different network? My question is that belongs to the same network or different network? We have 10.0.0.1. We have 100.0.0.2. So are they belong to the same network or different network? The first thing is that they belong to the same class, but they not belongs to the same network because as you can see that 10 is not equal to 100, right? 10 is different, 100 network is one network now. We are going to cover, we have to match with the one network. So 10 and 100 is not equal. So they are from the different network here. If I have another IP address, let's say that if I'm saying like 100.20.30.40, I have another IP address. So then 100.20.30.40, if I say that, so this is belongs to the same network. We don't bother about the host. We only bother about the networks. So if you see that 100.100, these are from the same network. Correct? You got my point, everybody? Let me give you one more example. Yeah. Same class but different networks. Yeah. So here we can see that this IP address is there. So here I want to write one more IP address. Let's say that 192.168.1.176. Can you tell me that are they belong to the same network or different network? I want you to tell me that 192.168.0.175, 192.168.1.176. Same class. Okay, very good. Are they from the same network or different network? They are from same class. Ankita is right. But are they belong to the same network or the different network? What do you say about this? Abdul, are you sure? Okay, I want you to correct this. Abdul, please have a look on this. In the class C, how many networks we have? In the class C, how many networks we have? Three networks we have, right? In class A, it was one network. But in the class C, we have the three networks. Now you compare with the class 3 here, class C here. So in this case, if you see that these are the belongs to three networks should match here. So 192.168.0, 192.168.1. These are the different, right or not? 1 and 0 is not matching, right? Three networks should match, not only two networks. In the class C, three networks should match. In the class A, only one network should match. In the class B, two networks should match. You got my point? Is that clear? Yep. So this is how it will be there. So where we can see that whenever we have these IP addresses, it all depends upon the classes. Are they belong to the same network or they belong to the different network? That's how it works. That's the process. It's happened. Now, let me take you to the example here. If you ask me class D and class C, how many network and hosts will be there? So there will be no network and no host will be there in the class D and class C, which is on the customer. So based on this. Now, if I talk about the host value, so if I say that, if I'm saying that the host, that can be anything, right? Host can be anything between 0 to 255. That's how the devices are. Yes, they are the standard range. It's not made by me. It is at the standard range. Ankita, always will see that these are the ranges are there. Okay. So here we can see that when we have these host as 0 to 255, we can see that the host. So when we are seeing that the 0 to 255, when we have host here, we never use 0 here. 0 is used for subnet mask. That will be as a subnet mask. We never use 1. That is used for as gateway. We never use 255. That is never we use for the broadcast. This is a very important here. So we never use the 0, 1, and 255, which is our fixed. 0 is used for the subnet mask, 1 we use for the gateway, and 255, which is used for the broadcast purpose. So if we see that, let me just show you that. We have the IP config. If I'll do that. So you can see that the 0, any IP address ending with the 0 is called as a subnet. Any IP address ending with the 1, it's called as the default gateway here. So we can see that the 0 is called as the subnet mask. 1 has been considered as a gateway. The same way, we have the broadcast IP address. Now, when we are seeing the broadcast IP address, that is the 255 here, right? So here, if you can see that the broadcast IP address is 255 here, and these 255, it's always been considered as using for the broadcasting the information. And they have the static, it's like these are the fixed physical address. So this is called FFFFF, which has been considered as the broadcast MAC address. Every device has the same broadcast address as FFFF, and the last IP address, the octet ending with the 255, will be considered as the broadcast IP address. Now, what we have left here? Now, after this, we have left out with, let's say that we have left out with 2 to 254, right? So this is up and consider, this is which always consider as the users. These are the devices. So over the network, this might be the devices here. So let me give you one example here. Let me explain you some more detail about this. Give me 1 minute, please. It's getting on my machine. Okay. So here we'll see some, before that, let me just show you. So if you can see that my gateway, my gateway is 192.168.0.1, and this is the MAC address of my gateway IP address, as we know very well about, right? Now here, what I'm going to do it, I'm going to just see some of the information here. Okay. So here I'm going to detect some of the devices which is connected to the network here. So here we'll see something to get you understand some of the process here. So here we can see that we have the network is same. If you focus that here, if we'll see that here over this, we have the network as 192.168.0.1, and we can see there are the several devices over our network, right? So what are those devices are there over our network here? So if you can see that this is the like 192.168.0.150, 0.170, 158, 0.169, 0.174, 0.175, 0.176. So if you see this here, whenever I have this part, let me just take this picture here. You will see that this is nothing but the device which I have it here. So if we can say that over these process here, whenever we are seeing that. So over this network, we have this system here. Let me explain it. So here you can see that we have an IP addresses are 192.168.0.121, 0.1, 0.150. So these are the hosts and these are the networks, right? So this is the class C IP addresses. So all the users are connected with my class C gateway. That is 192.168.0 is the network. And the last octet 150, 158, 169, 174, 175, 176, which has been considered that this is nothing but the devices which is connected. If you can see that 175, right? So 175 is my desktop computer, the Windows computer, which is connected. This is how the IP addresses and the MAC addresses can be there over the devices. Is that so clear, everybody till here? You got my point? Is that give me an acknowledge if it is all fine? Anyone have any doubts? Kindly please let me know that if you have any doubt. It's all clear. Same network, different host. Correct. Very good. Yes, this is how it will be. Now let's see some more detail here, guys. Now let me see something here. Let me just give you something about this. Let's understand this concept here. So if we see that here, we have like here where we can see that you- yes, IP address is a logical address, MAC addresses are the different one. So here we can see that if we have these IP address here, right? Whenever we are seeing that, so when we are seeing that an IP address is here, where we can see that 192.168.254.1. So here we can see that this is as where we have like this is an IP address, but it is contains some binary numbers, right? 101011000011. What is this? Like, how does it calculate it? So we know that one IP address is of 8 bits, which is consists of 72, like where we can see that one byte one byte is equal to 8 bits when we are seeing. So we have seen that one byte is equal to 8 bits. So whenever we have the binary numbers, the minimum value is zero here. So zero means it will be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is a zero. So here we can see that the binary numbers is 0.0.0.0. Sorry, 0.0000000 can be there. And if I'll say that the maximum number can be the one here. So we can see that this is the binary numbers as one here we can see. So we have seen that the minimum value is as zero, the maximum value as one. So based on this, it will be calculated. Like how does it is calculated? What is the process is happens? What is the method are there? Let me just give you one example here. Let me explain you that. How does it is happens? What are the things is happens? Let me just give you. Okay. Give me 1 minute, please. Okay. So here we can see that when we have these devices, how those have been working here, so here we can see that these are the we have 8 bits. Will we see that, right? So when we have these 8 bits, it will be calculated with the power of zero here. So it's like 2 to the power of 0, 2 to the power of 1, 2 to the power of 2, 2 to the power of 3, 2 to the power of 4, 2 to the power of 5, 2 to the power of 6, and 2 to the power of 7. So we can see that this is how the binary calculations will be done. Now, if I'll say that 2 to the power of 7, we know that it means like it will be considered as where we have 2 or 7 times here. Correct? Everybody? We can see that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and this is 7. So it means like what is the calculations for this? It will be considered something as 2 into 2 is 4, 4 2 times are 8, 8 2 times are 16, 16 2 times are 32, 32 2 times are 64, 64 2 times are 128. So it means like 2 to the power of 7 can be considered as 128, 2 to the power of 6 it's considered as 34, 2 to the power of 5 is 32, 4 is 16, 3 is 8, 2 is 4, and 2 to the power of 1 is 2. And what do you mean by the 2 to the power of 0, guys? What would be the value of 2 to the power of 0? What is the 2 to the power of 0 value? Anyone, please? Okay. Anything power 0 is always 1. Make sure that. Always anything power 0 is 1 here. So if I'll do this calculations, what would be, we get the total here. Let's understand here. So if we are seeing that, if I have 128 plus 64 plus 32 plus, correct, 16 plus 8 plus 4 plus 2 plus 1. So it means like it's 255. So as we know, like anything, as we have discussed, the IP address is 0 to 255. This is what where we can see that. Because anything 0 into 0 is 0 only, 0 plus 0 is 0 only. So that is the reason. Now let me just give you an example here. So as we have seen that this is an IP address. Let me see that. So if I say that we have these IP address here, the IP address can be considered as here 172 we have it, right? So what is the binary calculations for this 172 here? So as we see that the binary calculations for this 172 is 1 0 1 0 1 1 0 0. So this is 1 0 1 0 1 1 0 0 we have it. So it means like 2 to the power of 0, 2 to the power of 1, 2 to the power of 2, 2 to the power of 3, 2 to the power of 4, 2 to the power of 5, 2 to the power of 6, and 2 to the power of 7. So we always, what we'll do it, we'll ignore 0. Anything 0 plus 0 is 0 only. Na? So just we remove the zeros here. We'll talk only about the 1 here. So if we'll see this 1, so 2 to the power of 7 is 128, 0, 64 is 0. So 32 is 2 to the power of 5. This is 0. Is 2 to the power of 3 is 8. 2 to the power of 2 is 4. And this is all our zeros here. So if I'll do this calculation, I'll get how what value I'm gonna get it. If you see that, it will becomes as 172. So 128 plus 32 plus 8 plus 4. Correct? Is that clear, everybody? You got my point, 172. Now let us make it more easy for you. Let's take one example here. Okay. I want any one of you, please give me some IP address. Let us take the calculation. Let us take as a binary count for that. I want anyone to just type an IP address or unmute your call and can tell me any IP address what you want to take as a binary kind of calculation. Are you going to put that? Any one of you? Yes. Is that okay? Or if you want, we can do that calculations. Can put any IP addresses. Any IP address? Is it clear or no? If it is all clear, then it is fine. If not, then please let me know any IP address if you know. I didn't understood, Rafi. What does it mean by the no? Do you know? Do you have any doubt? Okay, it's clear. Perfect, no problem. So if it is clear, then it's fine. So if you can see that the binary values, let me just put it with this. I mean, like randomly, any IP address. Like example, let me take it. Let me do this. Are you getting confused? Let me take it an IP address as 192.168.0.10. Let me do the calculations for this. If I want the binary value for this, what we have to do? This is what I wanted to say. That, you can tell any IP address like that. It's I didn't say that you like I believe you're not understood that question. So I mean like randomly any IP address you say. So we have taken these IP addresses 192.168.0.10. So here if I want to calculate, we know the default values. What is their default values? We know that it's 128, then we have 64, then we have 32, then we have 16, then we have 8, 4. After 8, 4, then we have 2, then we have 1. So we know that this is the binary values where we have it here. Now what we need to know that I want to get 192, right? If I want to get the 192, how does it calculate? So we have to do sum of these here. Like sum of these numbers, what would be the value can be a 192 here. So the similar way, we can see that 128 plus 64. Let me do that. So 128 plus 64 is 192. So it means like when we are seeing these values here, so this is 1, this is 1, and this is all zeros here. You got my point here, guys, everybody. So it means like 8 bits we have it. So 192 is always the binary values as 1, 1, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is at the 0. So this is my 192. Now, if I want to take 168 here, let us see that if I want to take 168, how it will be calculated. Let's understand that. So 168 will be calculated something like this. I'll take 128, okay, plus 92 plus 64. I can't take it because it is getting exceed to the 192. So I'll take 32 plus 32. So I'll take 32 then plus 8. So it's very simple. Plus 8. So that is will be a 168. So it means like in this case, what we have, this is 1, this is 1, and this is 1. And these are the zeros here. So where we can see that if I want to take as a 164, 10, 10, 1000. The binary value which is coming as 10, 10, 1000. This is the binary value for like 168. And for 0, we know that all are zeros, right? All 8 bits are zeros here. So we can see that all 8 bits are 0. What is 10? Can you tell me the 10, guys? Very simple here. If I'm going for the 10, where we can see that 8 plus 2 is 10. So it means like 0, 0, 0, 0, then this 0, then this 0. So this value can be considered as we can see that if I'm going ahead for this, it can be considered as 0, 0, 0, 0, 4 zeros, then 1, 0, 1, 0. This is at the binary value, which has been calculated for 192.168.0.10. Now, this is we have done. Let's see that is that the computer also calculate the same way or not. Let me just show you one example here. For this, let me just tell you about how the things happens. So it's 192.168.0.10. We have seen this one, right? So if I'm going to see this, what is the binary values here for 192.168.0.10? This is the computer has calculated for us. Let us compare with these value with our value, what we have done. So if I'll go here and if I'll paste this value, which the computer have done, and if you can see that these both are similar here, right? Isn't it or not, guys? Everybody. So we have like 110000, 10, 10, 1000, then all zeros, then all zeros 10, 10. Is that clear, everybody? So this is how the binary values can be there whenever we see that. So this is how the IP addresses are there. We'll discuss some more detail in the next session about what does it mean by the IP version 4, IP version 6. How does this IP address can be get designed? What type of the networks are there? So how those allocations happens? If I see that what are the packet transactions happens? What way the network will transfer the different type of communications by using the Wireshark. Let me give you one example here. So here you can see that this is all my network transactions here. So I have my source IP, I have the destination IP, I have the different type of ports here. So if I can see that I'm going to analyze the different type of protocols here. So here you can see that the entire protocol hierarchy are there. So over this protocol hierarchy, we can see that UDP traffic, user datagram protocol, we have the TCP traffic, we call it the transmission control protocol, and so on, right? There are the different type of transactions, different type of the reports, which we're going to understand and we work with them. So there are some questions I have it in the chat. Let me answer this before I end the meeting. So Abdul asked me like, how will you conduct the hands-on training for us to gain the experience with the tool for SOC and cloud security? Okay, that's a very nice question. And that is a very important question, which I want to, I love to address that. Whenever we comes on that, first, the most important thing is that we don't straight away start the practical scenario. First, we get understand about the architecture, how does it works, what are the internal systems are there, what are the process of detecting an alert, what are the correlations rules are there, how we going to onboard the log sources, and then we're going to talk about it the next part, the lab setup. We're going to set up the lab. We're going to create the same like the lab which we are going to do the practical. So once we have created this lab, like on your computers, so the first part of installations of this lab, setuping this lab, and then the second process comes from, like where we're going to be discuss about how does it works, like how we're going to take an, like investigation process, how we're going to take, like detect the threat, how we're going to analyze all those things. We cloud Azure Sentinel, we are going to do hands-on practical. You're going to create those accounts and work on it. Same tools like Splunk, IBM QRadar, all whatever, like we are going to do it. Like the practical scenarios, we set up the lab and we'll work on those ones. So you'll be getting an access to those videos once the session is completed, and then you can do the hands-on practical with that. You got my point, everybody? Is that so clear? All right. So, all right. That's all. That's all, guys. Thank you very much. So okay. So with this, I have completed some open session. From tomorrow onwards, maybe we are going with the closed session. So those people are interested to go further can talk to the team and can do the enrollment. And those are not taking decision at time. Although also I really thankful for you giving your time for to get understand this discussion. All right. And still I'm alive. If you I'll be there for the live for some more 2 minutes. If you have any questions, you can unmute or can put in the chat before I end the meeting. Now make sure that from here we don't have any session. Uh, that will be considered as like open session. So if you are okay, then talk to the team and can do the enrollment, and we're going to be see you onboarded with new batch. The WhatsApp group will be created, and all the resources, all the process will be put into. Yeah, it's on. The training will be the same time. It's a continuous sessions, Abdul. Like from next sessions, maybe they might make it 1 day gap tomorrow because of enrollment. Maybe Thursday or that will be getting start from Friday onwards, right? Monday to Thursday sessions will be there, but this Friday they onboarded everything. From Monday you can start. We have multiple mentors, like we have a different team experts which have been getting involved and understand about how this process is works, what are the things is happening. Got it? All right. So okay, so what time you're preferring? Please talk to my mentors. They can give you the idea about that. Please talk to the mentors. Can give you the right timing, whatever what time slot you're looking for. It. Yes, yes. Please go ahead. Yes, Rafi. Please go ahead. I don't mind for answering any question. Do not hesitate me asking questions. You can ask me any questions, whatever you like. See, actually, I'll go with only with English. But if you have any doubts, you can personally connect me. I can answer you. There's no doubt in about the language, okay? But mostly, like we have people from different areas, like we can do it. No problem. You do not worry about it. If you ask me anything in any language also during the training, I may answer in your language. But I can speak only English, Hindi, Telugu, Tamil. Like, these are the languages which I can speak. Not proficiently Tamil, but I can speak with English, Hindi, as well as in Telugu. Sure, sure, no problem. All right, thank you, everybody. Do not, yeah, okay, that's fine. That's really good. Yeah, you're welcome, Muhammad Rafi.
Have a good one.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much. because
You're
we are
welcome,
doing the
brother.
training, Sarabjit. Don't want to shy to everything which you are not
Perfect,
understanding.
perfect.
You have to be frank.
I
No,
appreciate
after
your
you have
concern.
to finish your training, then you have some doubts in your mind. You ignore out because your group is there, video calling is there. No, I don't mind like this. If I want anything, I will ask you very frank.
That's a great. That's the process of learning.
Yeah, I
Being
want to
open
gain
and
the
sincere.
experience. I don't want to waste the time, and your time also. I don't want to waste. When the
I
class is
re
running, if I can't understand, I will ask you anytime, anything.
I really appreciate your front table questions. That's really makes sense. That's
When,
a
when
really
you are asking the class them, just attract, nobody is there giving the answer. So I think somebody is cannot understand English. He don't want to ask the free frank question. That's why I'm saying to in group. So anybody is not understanding English, go and ask the our language. No problem. You already give the answer best. It's for better for all.
yes. Thank you for your service. All right, guys.
Thank you.
That's all for
Thank you
today's
very much.
sessions. Thank you very much. See you on, Boris. Take care. Bye,
Okay, sir.
everybody. Have a great day.
Okay, sir. Bye. See you
Good
inshallah.
night. Yeah.
Bye.